iPhone 17 versus iPhone 16 Pro speed test. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go and see which one can get there first. Now today we're going to cover boot up tests. We're going to do face unlock test, general speed. We'll also do app test, Geekbench. We'll do some benchmarks. We'll also do a Wi-Fi speed test and check out the network performance. And this network performance today is actually going to be a little bit faster thanks to today's sponsor, TP-Link. TP-Link has this awesome Deco BE63 Wi-Fi mesh system that is going to make Wi-Fi even faster. You'll see later. Well, more on that later with today's sponsor. But it looked like the iPhone 17 did turn on a little bit faster than that of the iPhone 16 Pro. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at their Face ID, and you'll see basically no changes on either. And what's nice is that the change to the iPhone 17 is actually giving you that face unlock with the always on display, unlike the 16. So it actually kind of feels like I have a Pro with just like without the Pro body on the iPhone 17. Now, when it comes to the actual general performance, we are running the latest iOS 26.1. They're already working on 26.2. Every time you blink an eye, they're on the next dot release, they're on the next version. So it just never stops. But that's a good thing because your software stays up to date. But I really just feel like every time I pick up the 17, I'm holding the value pick of the year because I'm holding basically a pro level performance in a phone that doesn't cost pro prices. But the 16 Pro still has the better camera, zoom on board. While not the better front facing camera, it tends to perform exactly like the newer iPhone 17. So if you have a 16 Pro, there's really nothing to be like jealous about with the iPhone 17. It is totally fine. So let's go ahead and get on to the application test now. All right, guys, so everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go into calendar. You could see that was a little better on the left. We'll go over here to calculator. We'll go in the App Store, and that launched first on the left. Games launches first on the left. We are looking at the newer Apple A19 on the left versus the A18 Pro on the right. And we'll go over here, scroll through. And I think the scrolling is looking a little bit better on the 17, although I've seen better scrolling phones on the market, but these are still very, very good. So if we go over here, we'll go over there, about the same. If we go into weather, that was faster to load there on the right. I don't know what's going on with the 17. That was a little bit slow. Let's go into ChatGPT. Faster there on the 16 Pro. We'll go to Gemini. And faster, got a little bit of hair right there. Let's go over here to, and Gemini was faster on the 17. We'll go into Grok. And I couldn't see much in the way there. We'll go into news. And so for those of you who are like, should I buy the iPhone 16 Pro or the 17? So far, it's looking like it's going to come down to the cameras that you want, because performance wise, finally, I could say a base model performs just as good as a Pro model, just about. So let's go to music here, a little bit faster on the left. Let's swipe up out of here. We'll go into Groupon, and a little bit quicker on the right. There's just really, it's so tough to see which one actually does a bit better. Let's go into Amazon on both phones, and you can see that was faster on the left. Let's swipe up out of there. We're gonna go into Dead Trigger 2 on both phones, and you're gonna see that was faster on the left. So again, if you did skip the 16 Pro because you thought it was too high for what it is, the 17 is going to be a great option. We'll go into Subway Surfers because it's basically, I would call it like a 16 Pro Lite. It's lighter phone, and that was a little choppy looking when he turned the corner there on the 16 Pro. Let's head up out of there. We're going to go into RTS. I would call the 17 like less flashy, but definitely kind of like a Pro Lite when it comes to the specs. Some would say, well, no, it has a better front-facing camera. That is true. It does have that. It does have a newer chip, but it is the base. It's not the Pro chip. At the end of the day, what's really in it for an iPhone? I mean, iPhones are super optimized, and using them both kind of feels like I'm using the same exact thing with just different materials I'm holding. Put a case on them, do they even feel that much different? So 16 Pro won this, as this wasn't able to log in because I was logged in on the right. So we'll give that one to the 16 Pro. You'll see right here going into Call of Duty on both. I will state that both of these are not your thermal beasts like the 17 Pro models. Both of them will get a little bit toasty under heavy gaming use, but they're nowhere near uncomfortable like some of the 15 Pro models were. So they both do good in this department. Once again, the 16 Pro has won in the gaming to load this Call of Duty first. So I don't think, getting a 16 Pro now is a bad idea. It tends to perform just about the same as the base 17, if not better, in certain departments. I wouldn't be surprised if it wins in the Geekbench. And let's head up out of here. We're going to go into InShot, and then we'll go into iMovie, and that was faster on the left, and Geekbench 6, faster on the right. This is clocked in at 4.04 gigahertz, 4.15, so a very tiny difference in the clock speed, almost neck and neck. You'll see same RAM, 8 gigabytes. So yeah, that was pretty good for both devices. I would say that the 16 Pro was a little bit better when it came to a couple of games, but a lot of the regular apps were just launching faster on the 17. 26 also tends to run better on the 17 than the 16 Pro. I've been having some weird choppy app launches on this phone a couple of times. So the newest phone always tends to initially run better on the software that it launched with. All right, so let's run the RAM management on the left here. We'll see what we do. Get 8 GB of RAM is what we're working with here. You can see so far pretty much in the same locations they were in. Not a substantial difference there. If I go to YouTube, Grok here, Gemini, ChatGPT, weather, App Store, calculator, calendar, not a huge difference whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 16 Pro and see if that 8 GB of RAM does essentially the same performance. Now, I will say one thing. If these phones tend to get a little bit warmer or you're pushing them in a particular game, the iPhone will actually shut down some of the applications in the background. So the only reason it's not shutting anything down is because I actually actively played a match. For example, if I was running a heavy match in Call of Duty, the phone would heat up a little and they would shut down some of the applications in the background. So it doesn't always tend to sustain its performance as well as some of the more thermally efficient, stronger performing like top tier devices on the market. But generally with the 8 gigabytes of RAM up to 12 on the newer phones, they have been getting substantially better in this department. So RAM management is solid, not a substantial difference on either though. So let's run our Wi-Fi speed test. But before we do that, let's take a brief pause to take a look at today's sponsor, TP-Link. So the TP-Link Deco BE63 Wi-Fi 7 mesh system is the latest tri-band router delivering ultra-fast, stable connections for the home. It's built for people like creators, gamers, or just people who are smart home users and want to not have interrupted connections throughout the home. It has zero lag, rock solid performance for streaming, uploads, and other connected devices. Actually has support for up to 7,600 square feet throughout the home for uninterrupted connectivity wherever you go. This thing also does have multi-gig speeds, so it's super fast and reliable. It does connect very simply through an Ethernet cable, and you do have home shield protection, as well as just very, very uninterrupted performance, especially if you have multiple people using the internet throughout your house. This is going to really boost the speed. Wi-Fi supports some of the latest standards out there. So this is really going to be one of those devices that really does enhance your just experience on the web. And if we take a quick look at the application, the TP-Link Deco application, it's rated very well here. It does have the ability to give you network diagnostics. You can also use security controls. You can do scans. You can have parental controls on here, as well as reports. And also there's a lot of advanced changes you can make, like you could change the LEDs, actual system itself, and schedule them. They also do have connections to different VPN services. And with up to 4 times faster Wi-Fi, 4 times lower latency, and the ability to connect to more devices than ever, this is definitely going to enhance your overall Wi-Fi experience. So the link to this product will be down below, and thank you to TP-Link for making this video possible. All right, so let's go ahead and run the speed test here, and you're going to see that the iPhone 17 does a phenomenal job, and I'm going to get even faster speeds now than I did in previous videos, thanks to the Deco BE63 Wi-Fi mesh system that I just had installed. I can't believe I haven't done this sooner. This is a great product upgrade. You'll see right here, 41.8 on the upload, so not a substantial difference. Let's see what we get. Actually, hold on. That's not the same server. Give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the same server. All right, so let's hit go right here for the speed test net, and we'll see if the 16 Pro does better or worse. And I actually have one of those Wi-Fi mesh routers now right inside the office here. It was previously not in the office here. It was in a previous room, so that could have been affecting some of my speed tests. But you can see that on the same servers, the 17 was able to pull in a lot better. The 17s do have really good network performance, and I've noticed their 5G does better in those areas where you typically would drop out signal. So very, very solid stuff there for the Wi-Fi speed test. Let's get on to Geekbench now. Well, if we take a look at the scores here, the separation within this math on the multi-core score is just a couple hundred points or so. So if you take a look at the single core, it's even tighter. So it looks like just that slightly higher clock speed has actually boosted the 17 to get this W, but this W is not substantial. I mean, the iPhone 16 Pro is basically the same phone in performance. So I don't think this is going to make any difference. I could actually rerun this test and the 16 Pro could probably get a better score, honestly. So this is neck and neck. Really, there's not much in it. Let's take a look and see if the graphics, though, make a difference. And so the final results for the Wildlife Extreme on the 17 are in, and we're looking at 4618 with an average frame rate of 27.7 FPS, scoring better than 86% of devices on the market. So clearly not the fastest phone in the world, but definitely it's up there with some previous results we would have found on previous Pro and Pro Maxes. And this one is taking a little bit longer. While that's doing its test, this is kind of warm. Let me go ahead and check the heat on this. And you could see not too hot. So this doesn't get too hot. 106 is not cool by no means, but you can see the 16 Pro actually lost the test with about 4 FPS less and scores better than 80% of devices on the market. So it's a small improvement, but it's still faster than the iPhone 16 Pro, 3961. And this one is also kind of toasty. And let's see if this gets hotter. And yes, it sure did. Almost 110 degrees. So the 17 gets less hot than the 16 Pro. Neither of these get too warm though. They both do pretty good, but the 17 is more efficient in the CPU. Last thing I want to do is go ahead and launch the cameras. We'll take a quick picture of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I just bumped them left. There's one like that. But you've seen, I just launched them with the camera control. We'll do that again. 3, 2, hold on. Let me make sure I'm lined up properly. 3, 2, go. You can see a little bit faster there on the iPhone 17. Let's just do it with the finger now. 3, 2, go. That might have been the 16 Pro. Again, there's not much in it. So they're definitely going to snap photos at about the same clip. So you don't have to get a Pro, think you're going to get a professionally much faster photo than the base 17. You're just not. So at the end of the day, they tend to snap photos the same, and they both do have the same camera controls. So wrapping it up here, we talked about why the 17 is the better pick for a lot of people in my previous comparison. I'll link that down below. But the Pro phone has the Pro camera system still. The 17 now has Pro level performance in the base model. So from a speed test perspective, I would probably pick the 17. It is a little bit faster according to the benchmarks. So I would take that one all day of the week. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.